Hi everyone. So, welcome back to another FMLLE Spotlight episode. I'm really excited about today. I'm speaking to Sayesha, who is the creative director and co-founder of the clothing brand Core, which is based in India. But beyond that, she's an environmental activist and creator. And I think with the current climate that we're in, it's really important that we have conversations about sustainable fashion, and how we as consumers can really be more conscious of where we shop and how we shop. So I'm really excited to kind of have this conversation with her and get her thoughts and opinions on a few things. Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good, I guess, surviving. What about
Yeah,
you?
you're in India right now, right? Bangalore?
Yes, that's correct.
Amazing. Well, I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. I know that we've kind of spoken back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm happy to finally, have you on. Before we kind of get into anything, I just want to know how you've been because it's something that we hear on a day-to-day basis, but we don't always listen to the person answering. So I'd love to know how you've been, especially with, the current pandemic and the current madness that's happening in the world right now.
Well, to be honest, when we were first hit by the pandemic, I was quite all right. I was just like, I could get used to the slow life. But I think lately I've been ready to get back to the grind and start, getting back to normal life. So transitioning into that has been a challenge, but I'm excited and I take each day as it comes. So, I mean, so far so good. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. I'm really happy to hear that because I think you're right. I think in the beginning it's something that you kind of are getting used to, but I think now it's stretched on for so long that you kind of just want to
Yeah.
get back into the rhythm of life again. I'm happy
Yeah.
that you're kind of staying positive and doing well. So obviously I introduced you and I kind of spoke about how you are, the co-founder of your brand Core, and beyond that, you're an environmental activist, which I think is amazing and very
Thank
much
you.
needed in kind of our current climate right now. But before we kind of get into, your brand and what you do beyond that, I'd love to know kind of more about you and who is Sayesha and what does a day in the life look like for you?
Well, that's put me in an awkward situation. I'm not one to usually like talking about
Yeah,
myself
it's weird when you have
much.
to speak about yourself. It's really strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of odd, but I guess I'm just a very simple person. I like living my life to the fullest, and a day in my life would probably be a whole lot of work because that's how I keep myself distracted. I was raised with this ideology that an ideal mind is a devil's workshop. So keep yourself occupied. And I guess that's what keeps me sane. So I don't think you'll see me just chilling for a moment during my day. Maybe in the evening when I need to like unwind and find balance, then yes. But otherwise, I'm in front of a screen or I'm running from place to place. So it's quite hectic. Yeah.
A very busy kind of day to day. But I
Yeah.
think that's kind of good because it keeps you busy. And I think I can relate to that in a lot of ways because I'm someone that really struggles with like sitting still and I need to be doing something 24/7. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have the evenings to kind of, I guess, unwind and kind of have that time for yourself again.
Yeah.
But good to know. So you're very busy, very kind of, hustling day to day, which is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you would know how that feels. I absolutely love what you're doing with this platform. I think it's so important to give um, Indians or brown people or our community a platform to sort of showcase their work or get to know people or connect with people on a global platform. So, yeah, kudos
Absolutely.
to you guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, you're so right. I think there's so much talent within our community. And I think sometimes we overlook it, but I'm really
Yeah.
happy that this platform kind of brings us all together and just kind of showcases the amazing things that we're really getting up to.
Yeah.
So you are, of course, the core founder of your brand Core, which, by the way, is stunning. And beyond
Thank you.
just how it looks, I think I love what it stands for and what you're doing with, especially the whole green, clean, sustainable movement.
Yeah.
I think is so important to tap into. So I'd love for you to tell us a bit more about the brand and kind of how you came up with the idea, and more specific, how you decided to focus more on the ethical side of things.
Okay, so it'll take me a bit to answer because I need to give you background.
No, of course,
I
please
was
do. We're all ears.
Okay, so I was raised in the fashion industry. My mom's been a designer, so I kind of grew up seeing a lot of creative energy, and I think pretty much everyone in my family is a creative person in one way or the other.
Amazing.
I have an aunt who's an architect, so
Oh,
a
wow.
sustainable architect, that too. So it's fun because we sort of bounce off ideas with each other.
Runs in the
But
family.
yeah, so when I was younger, I grew up in that environment, and I knew I wanted to do something creative, and I had the opportunity to go and sort of hone in on my skills in London, and I was super stoked by the opportunity because I was like, it was my dream to get into this college, and I was just like, I knew if I got in, it would just give me direction because I knew I wanted to do something creative, but I didn't know sustainability would be such a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this a few days ago as well. I remember doing this sort of exercise where I would just practice mindfulness and try and figure out who I was as a person, because I was like super
Figuring it
confused.
out.
Yeah, I was in like
Yeah.
a new country and I didn't know anybody, and I was in a new college, and I was
And
just
where
like,
did you study, if I can ask?
Central St. Martin's in
Oh, love it. Yeah.
UAL. Yeah, so
That's what I'm
it's
going to
a
be studying
very
soon.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You're in UAL as well. So it was quite an overwhelming experience for me. And during that time, I took sort of some space out for myself. And I was just like, I need to discover who I am, what I want to do. And I realized that everything that it just boiled down to doing something for people and the planet. Like whatever I did with my life, whether it was something creative, it needed to have a purpose and some kind of impact, a positive impact, because I feel like you don't, I mean, while I have immense respect for NGOs and, you know, people who are out there doing things for the community, I think it takes a whole nother level of selflessness. I also felt you can be a for-profit company but still make a positive impact. You didn't have to be considered one of those like crazy companies that just wants you to consume, and you know, we could do a lot with whatever opportunities that come our way. So I decided sustainability was something I wanted to get into, and I saw the disparity, especially when I was working over there. I saw the disparity in the way in which people were treated back in our country. By that I mean in terms of tailors and pattern cutters and just the hierarchy of how it was, and just the way we respect people there, and you respect people's time, and you know, there was just
a huge contrast.
Yeah, it was a huge contrast. And then when I came back to the country, I was like, I know the reality of the situation back home, and I can't just, you know, sit here in a privileged life. Yeah, and especially if I want to do something that makes a difference or makes an impact. So I came back here and I decided to start Core with the help of my mom, who has been in the industry for a while. And I implemented and I introduced these practices of ethical fashion and how treating people within the supply chain is super, super important. And while I think we all do it in our best capacity, and we all, you know, in our own way are nice to the people that work with us, or at least try to be, I just felt there was it's generations of that you're below me kind of culture. It's the way that you're raised that needed to be taken back to its roots and broken down and been like, why? You know, why are these people beneath us? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. And when I started asking these questions, it was overwhelming for everyone around me. And they were like, why? You know, I don't understand this. But yeah, I guess it forced all of us to relook at our system and find a way in which we could, you know, improve the working conditions and improve the opportunities and the platform these people have, and really give their talent and their craftsmanship respect
what they deserve, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And paid well. They need to be paid well, because without them, who are we as companies or as brands? I mean, we can all stitch. I mean, as designers, we can stitch and we can cut patterns, but can we churn out the kind of quantities that they do, the finishing that they do? We can't. So we have so much to be grateful for. we just forget that these reasons
Absolutely.
exist. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's really important that you mentioned about, the people who are working behind the scenes on, as you said, the cutting and the patterns and the finishing. I think they're often kind of forgotten, and we kind of look at the founder of the brand, or kind of, who started it, and it's kind of the limelight's on them. But as you
Yeah.
said, without those people working in those factories, who are we, and what is the brand? And it kind of is nothing in a way.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so is it you and your mum then that kind of have started Core then together?
Well, Cora's my little baby. She's just my backbone that supports this because she's been in the industry, so I get
Of
her
course, and she's got the
expertise.
experience.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so she's into Indian wear clothes, and she does more embellished bridal
Yeah.
wear and things
Yeah.
like that. So for me it was a complete diversion.
Yeah.
But I was just like, if this exists, I want to jump at the opportunity and
Of
show people
course.
that.
Of
And
course.
I've encouraged my mom to start using plant-based fabrics for her
Oh,
Indian wear. So
which is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just like,
really, really good.
yeah.
Very positive. So has the pandemic kind of changed your ways of working? Because I'm sure, with things kind of being social distance now, and you can't really be
Yeah.
out and about as you usually would be, has that kind of impacted your ways of working with in relation to the business?
I mean, definitely. I think the pandemic hasn't spared anyone.
No.
But I try and think about it in a positive way.
Yeah.
We used to go into work every day. I had a store. I had a team of beautiful girls who worked with me, and we'd walk into the store every day, and there was so much to get done. And it was just this different energy.
Yeah.
And that energy is completely gone because we're all sort of working from home now. And we're just like,
Everything's
I can't,
digital.
yeah. And I mean, we can have Zoom calls and we can discuss things over call and things like that, but it's different when you're physically there because you bounce off of each other's energies. And I think
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
so important in like a creative field, especially. It just keeps you stimulated. Like being locked in a room for too long can get kind of
It can get
um
too much at times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you kind of do everything digital right now through
yeah,
Zoom and all of that.
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully things kind of resume back to normal. But I know that India is definitely struggling a little bit with the pandemic right now. So fingers
I would
crossed.
say quite a bit.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, I was being nice there, but yeah, it's struggling quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's good that we've got kind of the technology to, I guess, support and facilitate some of those important meetings that you can't have face to face.
Yeah.
So I think it's really obvious that obviously you're very passionate about kind of, everything clean and green and sustainable. And I think that's how we all should be. But something that I wanted to get your thoughts on, which I kind of was researching myself over the past few days, is uh, one of fashion's biggest myths, which is that you have to be rich to support ethical fashion. And I think
Yeah.
it's almost ironic because, as we all know, sustainable brands are a little bit more pricey than your average fast fashion brands. But I think what I'm going to ask you is, what would you say to consumers that are not willing to pay a higher price, ironically, for clothing items that are clean and not made in toxic environments? And what's kind of your take on that? Because I'm sure you've had consumers that perhaps are maybe talking to you or telling you about how it's a little bit too pricey for them or they can't afford it. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, so I get asked this question quite a bit, and the one answer I always have is when I became a more conscious and involved consumer, I started asking myself a simple question. What am I investing my money into? Whatever I was buying, whether it was food or fashion, or it could be anything. I was just like, what am I investing my money into? Am I really supporting this business that is trying to make a positive impact? Because like I said, while I really appreciate NGOs and we can donate a lot of money to
Of
them,
course.
if
Yeah.
there are for-profit companies that are doing it, which we can sort of integrate into our everyday lives, why not support them as well?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my mentality. And when it comes to the expensive bit, I completely agree with you. There's such a common preconceived notion that's attached to sustainable fashion, and that's the fact that it's expensive. Um, but the thing is, of here, the cost is to the person who's consuming it. In fast fashion, the cost is to the person who's making it for you.
Yeah.
And both are expensive. It's just that you need to sort of look at it from a zoomed out perspective and really be grateful for what you have.
Absolutely.
And know that, you know, everyone in the supply chain, you might have the most beautiful thing in your wardrobe, but what if it's come from sweat, blood, and tears? You don't value that garment as much. And when you invest a little more, save up, and really say, okay, this is a quality garment, or this is a quality product that I can use in many different ways, and I can, you know, have in my wardrobe or in my house for like
Absolutely.
years together, I'd rather invest in that. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
quality over quantity, and that's something I've always
Oh,
believed in.
I was just gonna say that it's literally quality over quantity, and I think
Yeah.
you're so right. Where I've been guilty of, for example, some of the tops I've got from like Primark, which is a major fast fashion brand. I've noticed immediately that the quality of those t-shirts or sweaters or whatever it might be has degraded so quickly,
Yeah.
versus other brands that are a lot more sustainable and a lot more carefully crafted, have lasted me for years on years. And I think,
Yeah.
again, you can kind of have the option of donating your clothes and having them go to charity, but unfortunately the reality is a lot of our clothes are in the landfill and they go into the bin, and that's a toxic cycle that's just keep on kind of continuing. And so I think once you invest into a garment, a t-shirt, whatever that might be, that is more carefully crafted and more ethically crafted, it can last you for so many years, and you've kind of got that staple piece in your closet that you can wear and style in so many different ways.
Yeah, and without feeling guilty, which is, I mean, something a lot of people feel these days is eco guilt. And over here, you're
Absolutely.
just like, you know, this has lived its full life, and I know even if, when I put it back out into the world, it will one day biodegrade, or it will one day give back to the planet in a positive way, or it won't
Absolutely.
negatively impact it, which is just certain things that you think of when you think of yourself, or you think of your consumption in full circle. You
Yeah,
just think of
absolutely.
where is it coming from and where is it going to go.
Yeah, the pandemic kind of, I think one of the positive aspects that has come out of it is that I think people are or I should say consumers are definitely thinking more about where their clothing is coming from, especially with some of the scandals that have come out of some
Yeah.
fast fashion brands. And I think it's amazing to see that brands are now, a lot of the brands like Tommy Hilfiger, Adidas, are really tapping into the whole ethical movement.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know what you think in terms of the future of fashion and where it lies with sustainability, because I think we are heading a little bit in the right direction with the current pandemic, but you're
Yeah.
never too sure what can kind of come out of it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, I always say this, fashion is a huge industry, and there's so much to sort of take from it. Um, in my eyes, the future of fashion has a lot to do with blending our roots with technology and sort of figuring out future. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my
I
dog
can hear.
barking. He's going
Okay, I
crazy.
can still hear you.
But yeah, I was saying, so I just feel that, I mean, technology, by that I mean biofabrics, like making leather out of mushrooms or pineapples or apples or pretty much anything under the sun. Anything's possible, and there's this huge open space for innovation that hasn't been tapped into yet. And if enough people get interested by it and they see the growth within that industry, we'll have so much innovation. And that innovation won't just be in pockets around the world, it will be accessible globally, because that's another thing. Right now, there is innovation, but it's so niche and it's so small that it just happens in pockets where the demand is a little higher. And it just hasn't been able to like fully flourish or make itself available everywhere, because
Yeah, and reach its
people
capacity
need to
really.
see the
Yeah.
profitability long run. So I think when people tap into that, that is something that sustainable fashion will move towards, just learning how to make their fabrics biodegradable but not require a lot of land, like cotton
Yeah.
and linen and things like that require
Yeah.
less space, can be grown indoors. I mean, people are
Absolutely.
doing that with fruits and vegetables, so fabrics should be quite easy. We just need
Yeah.
to put our heads together.
Yeah, and
So
that's so true, because right now it's costing our nature's finest resources, which is water, land. That shouldn't be used for clothing. That's kind of used for people. I was
Yeah,
listening to this podcast as well, where, as you said, we've got all the fabrics available. There's so many sustainable fabrics that are available, but it just comes down to like brands actually investing into them and kind of having their costs a little bit be a bit more and actually invest into them. But I
yeah,
think it's quite niche right now. It needs to, I definitely expand a little bit more.
yeah.
So what's kind of next for you then in terms of core? Where are your aspirations with it?
To be honest, once I was sort of put in the situation where I had to reevaluate our business model, because we were
Yeah,
firstly primarily retail and now we're moving to a more e-commerce sort of situation.
platform situation. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I've realized that because times are still uncertain, I'm going to
yeah,
take each day as it comes and jump at every opportunity that comes my way and sort of mold my business around that. Keeping true to my ethos, which is being as, sustainable and ethical as possible. And yeah, just sort of dive in and really see the opportunities that are there. Really want to get into textile innovation, and that's something that I've been looking to invest in, but we just need to sort of get ourselves up and running again to be able to focus on that. But that's definitely something. And I also want to use our platforms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, even our store. I want to use it all as a platform to sort of promote positive and messages and
yeah.
really get people involved in conversations surrounding climate change,
Yeah.
surrounding inclusivity in fashion, and things like that. So I think that's where we're going with it. As of now, I don't know. I'll take each day
Yeah,
as it
it's so
comes.
unpredictable. But I think
Yeah,
what you mentioned is great about Instagram. I think it's really important to educate because there are so many pages on Instagram that are focusing on ethical fashion and they're sharing some amazing stories. But I've seen on your Instagram as well that you're doing some amazing kind of conversations and talks about, raising awareness around sustainable fashion and, the ethics
yeah.
behind it, which I think is amazing. So before we end the interview, I'd love to know what your personal mantra is that you kind of live by.
To be honest, it's quite simple. It's less is more. And I've said this, and I think I've been raised with this mantra because it was for the longest my mom would say, less is more. You don't need so many things in your life, even though she loves everything in abundance. So it's quite
Yeah,
funny.
quite ironic.
When she's just like, less is more. And then she'll go and buy like a whole bunch of things. And I'm like,
I
well,
think
I
we're
kind
all
of
guilty
defeats
of
the
that, but
purpose.
yeah,
Sorry, what? Sorry, I
we're
didn't
all
get you.
guilty of like saying like less is more, but then we're out here splurging and shopping. But yeah,
Yeah. No, but for me, that's something that stuck with me, whether it's my home, whether it's my wardrobe. I just don't like spending on things unnecessarily. It's not even about the money or where I'm investing. At this point, I've reached a stage where I'm just like, I don't need it. It's such a pain
yeah,
in the ass to have this in my wardrobe. Why do I need it? I don't want to
yeah,
invest in something
yeah,
that's just something else to take care of or to think of or to wear or to use,
yeah, yeah,
keep it as simple as possible, keep it
yeah,
as natural as possible. And I think that's when you're the happiest. Nothing
absolutely.
occupies your mind too much, there's no clutter, so you're just
Yeah,
like free and you feel lighter.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that's what I live by.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's so good that you mentioned how, again, less is more, but I think it comes back to the whole conscious consumerism where
Yeah,
when you start to buy less and you actually are kind of happy with what you have, it's just a shift of mindset. But I'm going through that right now as well, where surprisingly, throughout the whole kind of 8 months of the pandemic or whatever, I haven't shopped much at all. Whereas
yeah,
maybe a few years ago, I would have been online shopping like crazy. But I've noticed that, I've got all the staples, I've got all the pieces that I need. So what's the point of just tapping into these discounts or sales to get like the latest trend or whatever?
yeah,
But as you said, like it's so much simpler when you kind of are just content with what you have. And again, less is more.
yeah,
So I think it's just keeping that in mind, I guess.
yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's a really good kind of note to end on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And like I said earlier on, I feel that what you guys are doing is absolutely wonderful, and I hope that you can continue to give a whole bunch of us creators a platform to connect with people globally. And
Absolutely.
so kudos to you and kudos to your entire team, and
Oh, thank you.
I'll be a big supporter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna stay in touch. But yeah, thank you so much. I think, yeah, as I said, it's really important to, I think, have a platform that kind of brings us all together as a community. Even though you're in India, I'm back at home here, but I think it's nice to stay connected through a global platform. But yeah, thank you so much again. Hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.